It's time to get real, reality TV aficionados. Welcome to the Giorgio Says podcast. I'm your host, the one and only Giorgio Takanakis, and I'm here serving you the juiciest updates on all your favorite reality shows weekly, as well as the hottest pop culture trends, and even exclusive interviews that will leave you wanting more. This podcast will keep you on the edge of your seat. We definitely need to talk about this. The Giorgio Says podcast starts now.
All right, welcome back to another episode of Giorgio Says the podcast. And today's a special day. It's Friday, and we have a bestie in the house. Caitlin Marshall is here.
Hi.
Hi, Caitlin.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, I feel like I just spoke to you because I was just on your podcast yesterday.
I mean, we can't get enough of each other.
The funny thing is, if we lived near each other, I feel like we would be at each other's house quite frequently.
time.
I just can tell.
All the time. McCoy would think you were his second father. So
probably. I mean, we kind of have similar features, Jay and I.
Yeah, you do. You
regions.
do. Balkan. Uh-huh.
It's good and bad. It's good and bad.
Yeah, you know.
But yeah, so we're going to be recapping Real Housewives of Miami for you guys today. Miami is doing very well. I'm glad to see more and more people. The ratings last week were at an all-time high for the season, which I'm happy. Yes. But before we get into the Miami of it all, we do need to cover a couple of things that did come out recently. I think actually today. So we're going to get into some quick tea. So let's get into some quick tea really quickly. Peter Thomas was arrested.
Yeah.
But it was for a DUI and a number of other things. And I know he's not on any of the shows anymore, but he's still kind of like family. So we do have to keep up with what's happening with him. He seems to have been having a very rough year.
Yeah.
With his businesses and now this. So I don't know. What do you think about all this? Is it even worth the news mentioning it? I mean, the list is long, I will say. The registration was expired, the tags
no
were
license.
like, was it even his car? I don't know.
God.
DUI. I mean, listen, in this 2024, we're in 2024, Caitlin.
Mm-hmm.
With Uber and Lyft. And I'm sure there's still taxi companies.
That's the thing. Look, the science behind the amount of alcohol one can consume before things chemically change in your brain is 2 drinks. That is 2 drinks. That is when after 2 drinks, your brain chemistry alters completely. That's where the frontal lobe stops making rational decisions for you. So if you are planning on having more than 2 drinks, or you believe you will be tempted to have more than 2 drinks, just take a freaking, there are multiple companies. There's Lyft, there's Uber. I personally prefer Lyft. They typically are less problematic than Uber, and the prices are usually a little better. So at least from what I have discovered, I'm not knocking Uber, but I'm just giving you a little piece of advice. I just feel like Peter, he has the money for, at the very least, whether his businesses are struggling or not, that's what he has the money for it. Y'all just save yourself the grief and aggravation. Was he in Atlanta when he got arrested, or?
It's a good question. I know that Talk of Shame posted about it initially.
Kiki.
And let me see. I want to pull it up because I want to see these.
It's extensive.
It is. And okay. So driving without, sorry, she has music on her post. Okay. So here's the first one: driving without a license.
Without his license on him, do you know, or just that he didn't have a driver's license?
It says it's a misdemeanor, so I'm not sure, because usually if you don't have your license, they can still check.
Right.
You'll get
You're supposed to have it on
for
you.
not having your license, obviously, but I don't know if that would be considered a misdemeanor. So it's either.
I think even a DUI is a misdemeanor, though.
Oh, really? So then
I could be wrong.
Violation of traffic control device.
That's what I was confused about too. I'm like, what
What does
was
that
he
mean?
doing?
Expired tag, no tag. Driving under the influence of alcohol.
Wait.
Failure to maintain lane. And no proof of insurance.
So one thing I just looked it up, in most states, a DUI is a misdemeanor. It's actually a felony. Places like Canada, Australia, I believe a few places in Europe, it's a felony. So what could have happened, part of why I was asking if it happened in Atlanta, is that if he were considered a resident of more than one state, and let's say we know he has that restaurant in Miami, right? So let's say it happened in Miami and he's also considered a resident of Miami, then if his license is a Georgia license, they can say he doesn't have a driver's license in that state. Does that make sense?
Oh, okay.
Because I
That does
can
make
say
sense.
when I was living in California, I got pulled over. I'd only been living there for I think I'd been there maybe 3 months. And I still had my Oklahoma driver's license because that wasn't going to expire for a while. And the officer told me, you technically, he didn't write me a ticket for it, but he was like, technically, you're driving without a license. So you need to get a California license. That's how I know that. Because while I my technically home address, I was like considering my parents' home address. I was 21. And but I'd been, I think it's if you're in a state, depends on the state too. I don't know all the laws, y'all bear with me. But I want to say it's like if you're living somewhere for more than 90 days, then
Great.
you're,
Well, I definitely did not do that.
I mean, a lot of people don't. That's common.
Well, because my license from DC wasn't going to expire for another
right. Why
2
get a new
years.
one?
I was like, I'm not.
It's
This
such
is
a
not the
pain.
top of my priority list.
No.
But that's interesting and good information for everyone out there. Get
Yeah,
your
if you
tags
move.
renewed, get your registration up, keep a license within the state that you're driving. I mean, I guess if you're a visitor, though, how do they operate that? Like, what if you're just visiting? You're obviously not going to have.
No, it's different then. But I would say, like, I guess where I'm going with that is, let's say he considers Georgia. I don't know if he does his home state, but maybe, I don't know, he's working at the restaurant in Miami and he's technically been there for more than 90 days, living maybe a short-term rental, even anything like that, or like a leased, monthly lease type of place. It's still considered that at a certain point, from what I recall and understand, that you have to have a license in that state, which then what are you supposed to do? Have a license for two different states? You can't do that.
Yeah, they don't let you do that, right?
I don't think so. No.
Well,
It's confusing.
Either way, I think all of that probably would have been overlooked had he not been drinking and driving.
There you go.
The very least, maintain your lane. Guys, I'm telling you right now, I have my biggest pet peeve is someone who cannot maintain their lane.
Mm-hmm.
In
so many ways.
Swear to God, it drives me nuts.
Mm-hmm.
You know what it is? It's because we're so distracted more now with all the technology in the car.
Oh,
there's the phone, you connect it to the car's talking to you, you're looking
got all the stuff.
So I see it all the time when I'm driving. It's like people, and I'm not saying I'm the best driver ever, but I do try to maintain my lane because I know that that's annoying when you see a car floating over and you're like,
God.
please
it's stressful.
But yeah, it stresses you out, or it stresses me out.
Yeah.
But the rule of thumb is, guys, don't drink and drive. I know that sounds like a really ridiculous thing to say at this point, but clearly there are still people who think that they can do it or they're fine, and they're not. PK, he had the same situation. He thought he was fine. It's just, there's Uber and Lyft. There's ways to get around this. No one's saying you shouldn't go out and have a good time by any means, but leave your car where it is. Come pick it up tomorrow.
It's truly
it's going to be cheaper than your lawyer fees for all of those misdemeanors. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, DUIs are typically between like $5,000 and $10,000 at the end of it.
Ugh.
Yeah,
you know what you can buy with that?
Exactly.
I would be so mad at myself.
Yeah, especially at this stage in the game,
Yeah, and also to look, I don't even know. anyways, I'm sure he will figure it out. It's luckily no one was harmed. No one was,
Exactly.
injured in any way. So the other bit of quick tea that I want to throw out there, it's not really tea, if you will, but we do have the new season of Traitors that has Tamra Judge, Larsa, Marcus, and Sheree. Am I forgetting any other Bravo person?
Phaedra.
Phaedra, yes. I haven't started watching it yet, but I plan on watching it at some point this weekend. I think it's going to be interesting having Larsa and Marcus on this format because I was
Larsa can't do anything without him.
Well, of course. But aside from her being afraid that if he leaves her for too long, he'll forget about her. I was telling Jeff, I was like, I wonder, it would be really interesting if they made Larsa and Marcus the traitors, or one of them the trait. Like it would be, that would be interesting. So I haven't watched yet, so I don't even know. But that's the quick tea we have. We need to recap Miami, of course, because there's some interesting things unfolding on the show, and I want to talk about it. So let's get into this recap. Golly Nutrition is an inventive, people-focused nutrition company committed to providing innovative products that make taking your daily supplements simple and delicious. Their products are formulated with quality ingredients you can pronounce and flavors your taste buds will absolutely enjoy. And at the core of it all, they lead with purpose. Golly for Good is an initiative committed to playing a profound role in supporting the health of our planet as well as our local communities. Learn more about their initiatives such as B Corp certification, Vitamin Angels partnership, and Eden reforestation projects at their Golly for Good page. And if you use my special code, The Giorgio Says, at checkout, you will receive a special discount. Now let's get back into the episode. This episode, we are right in the thick of this whole Anna situation. Do you remember why they're not speaking to her? Have they even really, I need to go back. I feel like I might have missed something previous seasons, but like, it's really strange the way, I know why Marisol is pissed off at her. Alexia, though, outside of her just defending her friend, her bro, I'm not quite certain what her issue with Anna is, outside of it just being like Anna talked smack about bro,
Same. Alexia, when people say that Alexia is truly the Miami Cuban blonde Teresa Giudice, it's just...
Is it not wild how close they look to each other?
How they look, how they act, the logic and reasoning they use is so similar, and it's just absolutely wild. But it's something I could see Teresa Giudice having nothing to do with a certain situation and just making it into something that involves her this way. It's like Alexia wants to have reasons to hate certain people. It's like she thrives off of it. She needs at least, I don't know, 3 to 5 enemies at a time. It's like she requires this somehow.
This episode, she really would, like, it really proved this episode that it didn't matter. They were just going to be mad at Nicole no matter what. It didn't matter if it had nothing to do with Nicole. They're gonna be like, you know what? No, she should have known better either way. Like,
that was infuriating.
I was like, what? So like, this is crazy to me that this double standard plays out on this show so much. And you know what it is? I think this has a lot to do with, and yes, I'm gonna say it, I think some of the women on this cast are, I don't want to say jealous.
I was going to say the same thing.
Envious of Nicole in the sense that she's Dr. Nicole Martin, first of all. So she has a job and she has a great presence in her field. And on top of that, she's with a man who's also successful. They have this beautiful life. She's very humble.
And she's hot as hell.
Very humble. I think Jeff low-key has a crush on her.
I low-key have a crush on
I
her.
do
My
too.
God.
I literally,
And I'm not attracted to women either.
There's something about her that I find to be like, obviously I don't have yachts and waterfront properties and all that stuff, but I can relate to her. You know what I mean? Like, she's relatable.
Yes.
It's like she's cool as a cucumber, but she's feisty and she like will get in there if she has to. But overall, I really think that they're almost like, who do you think you are? Like, you little bitch. Like, you think you can just come in here with your boats and your yachts and your cars and your house. And the other part of it, we can't forget that she had a historical home sale because Jeff Bezos bought their last home. So, you know what? She could have been done with the show after that. That's enough to give her press and put that on her resume and IMDb and all that. I think that's good enough. But the fact that she's a good addition to the group. I think they did an excellent job casting her. I love her friendship with Guerdy.
I do too.
I just find her to be so mesmerizing to watch. Like, I just love her scenes. I love getting to know her.
She's genuine, it seems, as well.
Yeah. And, you know, like, honestly, like, there's not a lot of that transfers from TV to real life. Like, you can tell sometimes with certain housewives that they put on for the show. And then when you meet them in real life, you're like, oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
bitch. Like, okay. You know what I mean? She's not one of them. And Guerdy's definitely not one of, there's a ton. It's a select few. I don't want to make it sound like there's a bunch of them. There's a select few that are putting on for the show. And then when they get off, they don't even want to be bothered with any of the stuff that comes along with being on the show. But I felt bad for her in we open up the episode. Nicole and Julia go visit Guerdy because Guerdy just had her surgery. And so they're going there to like see how she's doing. And then it comes up this whole luncheon where Anna comes and, you know, basically Nicole's the one that's being blasted again for Anna being there. And, you know, Alexia's point and Marisol's point was at last year's reunion, and they show us the clip where Nicole says that Anna and Leah reached out to her. And I guess that triggered them to be like, well, why would Anna be reaching out to you? She doesn't even know you. So the motive must be she wants to talk smack. Well, maybe that's the case, right? Maybe.
I didn't get that impression from Nicole the way she said, oh, yeah, they reached out to me. Because typically the way people, if they're like, oh, yeah, they reached out to me, there's an undertone there. Nicole was just kind of like, yeah, they reached out to me. Like, we just, like last week, they just started talking.
It almost felt like, because we only got a clip, and I don't even know if they showed this in the actual reunion. It looked like unseen footage. But it almost felt like it was out of context a little bit with the edit, because it could have been that they were just bringing up other like just naturally, you know, like, oh, do you still talk to Leah? And like, you know, she might have heard the names and been like, oh, Leah and Anna actually reached out to me a couple weeks ago, funny enough. But I agree with you. I don't think it was like they reached out to me.
Because that's the thing is I remember thinking that Alexia's immediate reaction was like, that's okay. I'm not scared. And it was almost like that was a jump from Nicole's reaction. Because again, if it had been Adriana, say, that was like, she would have just immediately, Anna and Leah reached out to me last week. She would have been like that. And then that would have made sense, the reaction Alexia had. But I just, I don't, it's not that I'm just trying to be power defender of Nicole. I just don't find her to be someone who needs to go digging on people. I think if she wanted to, like, you know, with Larsa, because Larsa's the type that has the time to go digging on people. And I think that if she really were going to be that type of person, if Nicole were, she would have done that last year against Larsa.
100%.
So that's why I'm like, it doesn't add up. She's not doing that.
I think Nicole does a good job about keeping the issues on the show. She doesn't go
Mhm.
outward to go try to bring stuff back to try to
Right.
go after people. So that I'm gonna say, like, in terms of the Anna thing, like, it's tricky because we're filming a show. And
Mhm.
so, like, yes, she was the host of the show. I'm not the show, sorry, the luncheon.
Right.
But Adriana is the one that asked, could she invite Anna? So it's like, why would Nicole be like, no, she can't come because my allegiance is to Alexia and Marisol, and I think they have problems. Like, unless you guys have specified this to her, which it didn't seem like you had, because she was
No.
in the dark when they were flipping out at the lunch.
Catching flies, her mouth was dropped open so wide for so long. Like, what are you talking about?
Well, and also they still didn't explain.
No, they still
Outside of
haven't
Marisol was
explained.
like, she wanted me dead, and it was just like, okay, but like,
I didn't even hear that in the. No, I didn't hear that. I
well,
heard her
I
daughter
think
talking shit, but
Marisol may be misconstruing what Anna's daughter said when she looked like
yeah.
a corpse, like she's on her way to her stairs of heaven or whatever. But I felt bad for Nicole because she got emotional. She's like, I'm really tired of being treated like this in this group. You know, you're supposed to be in a friendship group where you're being uplifted and you support each other. And I just feel like they just want me to be on the other side of this
Yeah.
no matter what. And so Julia, though, we're starting to see a little bit of a flip in Julia, because I think she's also starting to see that, you know what, Adriana, you are purposefully being messy and you're not being completely honest. And we get a little bit of that later when we get to Marisol's.
Hmm.
Julia kind of puts Adriana on the spot.
And
But
I loved it. I'm like,
Julia
she's
really, she let them know. She was like, Nicole, look, I have information regarding the Anna thing, the Alexia thing, and Adriana. So I will definitely, because Julia's good like that. Like, she's
yeah.
super empathic, you can tell. And they're like, she just felt horrible because she knows. And I feel like in the car ride when Adriana was alluding to these things about Alexia and the financials of it all,
Wanting to expose that is so bizarre too. But yes.
to
It's so
me,
weird.
it's like, Adriana, do you not remember last season? Because technically you're still a friend of. They could have easily iced you out and been like, no, we're not going to film with her at all. And then there would be no need for her. So she's coming back in. You would think she would come in and try to make good graces with them, or at least be neutral.
She said she was going to, bringing that white flag to that lunch she had with her
But
beginning.
that's not the case. She really wants to take Alexia down, more so than Marisol, I feel. She really wants to go at it with Alexia, but she can't do it on her own. So she's
No.
like, who can I get? Oh, Anna. Let me see if I invite Anna, because Anna knows more about their financial situation, which I don't even understand how Anna would know. How do you really know?
Thank you. How is it that she would know more things than anyone with Google and a keypad would know? I don't understand that. And unless there was something within their friendship that would have been before Todd, that some sort of secrets that were divulged during that time that Anna is trying to use against them, which I'm not here for people doing that in general, weaponizing secret things that you speak on during friendships. Like, unless it's something that is going to help people to divulge, I don't understand people who do that. I don't like the weaponization of that. And it sounds like Anna must be one of those type of people. And it seems like Alexia and Marisol, sorry, ladies, but you seem frightened of her. You seem frightened of what is in her brain, because to make those two flee, they had to get drunk and come back to the Mamacita lunch. It was just like they literally had to get so much liquid courage in order to come back and face her. And it's
Well,
two of them against one.
that's what I don't understand. Wouldn't you want to be there just to check her if she says something? Because let's be clear, if they didn't come back to that lunch, who knows what Anna would have told the rest of those ladies? And then it's out of their control. They're not there to mitigate it or confront it head on. So yeah, I thought it was interesting that they also, side note, we were just talking about DUIs, but did you guys notice how they went and had a bunch of cockies and then drove their
Yes.
asses back and they show them driving back? I'm like, hi, that's not a good look.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Oh,
Hello.
you know they do it. Marisol, if she drives, is doing that all the time.
I think Marisol is, and I'm not saying this to be uh mean, but I think Marisol is at this alcohol consumption level
Yeah.
that she could probably have like 10 and still be sober. You know what I mean? Like that's
Yeah.
almost her cup of coffee. I'm not
Mhm.
saying that's what everyone should be. I'm not excusing it. I'm just saying. But I did think it was interesting because I even was like, oh my God, why are they even showing that? I wouldn't show that. That makes you guys look bad too. You guys are letting them drive off. But notice they didn't have cameras in their car, in
Mhm.
Alexia's car. They no
Yeah.
cameras. So just throwing that out there. But
Yeah. Good
nonetheless,
point. Good point.
Anna, first of all, was a flop. So whatever.
With her skinned knee, did you also notice
Yeah.
that?
Also, go hang out with Denise. You guys both are
Yeah.
making these like surprise appearances, and you come on. Denise is like drunk on medication,
Yeah.
slurring, making herself look like an absolute clown. And then you have Anna coming in, talking all that smack outside on David
Yeah.
Yontef's podcast with her daughter, and then comes and sits down and is just like, what? What do you want me to tell you? And it's like, no, but you came here. Tell us what you have on everybody. You clearly came here for a mission.
Yeah.
Adriana is like, Adriana coming late with her was like, what? You should have gotten there first. She thought she was going to come in and everyone was going to be like,
Make an
it's too late
entrance.
because they already knew she was coming. So she was like,
Adriana is so goddamn dramatic. I mean, we know this. She thinks her entire life is a one woman show off Broadway. It just between how she acted over a freaking twisted ankle. Now, listen, I have done a bad ankle sprain, and let me tell you, that hurts worse than a break does sometimes. I'm not, you know. However, the theatrics with which she does absolutely everything. She has no capability of reining it in. So, of course, any opportunity to perform the way she thought she was going to, walking in, Anna busted knee and all in her little doily dress, whatever that was. Um, I just, the look on her face was like she was about to get Alexia and Marisol. And I don't know how it's not noticed by anyone else. The look on Adriana's face, she's very like, she's got, because she always puts on a character, is kind of my point and where I'm going with this. And she was putting on that character, just like when she wrote the letter as Marisol's liver. Okay. It's the same smug look. And if she really thought that nothing was wrong with bringing Anna, she would have just come in smiling and like, what have you. But that's not how she walked in. So I'm just, I'm just appalled.
I still don't understand why Nicole's getting this much heat for
I
allowing
know.
Adriana to invite her plus one Anna, because that's essentially what it was.
She couldn't even pronounce her last name. She doesn't actually know her.
No, it's just like if that would be like, okay, so that would be like someone that I know of that you are connected with more, and you ask me, can I invite this person? But I
Yeah.
don't know what the dynamic of that person that you're inviting necessarily with the rest of the group that I have coming. So I would be the same way. Like, what? I don't know. What's the like? I didn't realize. Obviously, I don't think Nicole would have done that to them,
No.
knowing that she just kind of made up with Marisol too. So she's trying to get to a better place with the both of them.
Mm-hmm.
It just feels like they just don't want to like her. And this was a very good reason for them to justify their reaction and their hatred, because we do come to find out that they realized that it wasn't Nicole's like invitation. And even then you think like, oh, okay, well then they should change their tune. No, they're like, oh, I don't care. I'm still pissed off at her. So it's just like, oh, so you guys just want to be mad at Nicole just
it's
because.
so ridiculous. I mean, truly, what has Nicole done to the two of you that was so awful? Y'all were the ones ruining her engagement party that they were throwing by having this whole fight over Adriana's boyfriend that you were wrong about, Alexia, by not scrolling to the bottom of a goddamn internet page. I can't. It was such a Teresa
She still
Giudice move.
didn't
I can't.
apologize.
No, and she wouldn't. I was
She
like,
is such a typical ethnic mom. They will never admit when they're wrong. My mom's the
oh,
same way. She would have done the same thing my mom. Oh well, I don't care.
well, you should have told me. It's your fault.
You should have brought it up and showed me that that's what it was. Like, oh no. I was like, okay. So from there, we get I found this to be a really cute, endearing scene. So Lisa brings her son to the bank with his little, you guys, her son.
He's cute.
I'm not a big kid person, but her son is like a little grown man. He is so cute. He is so smart and he is so in tune. That scene where he's opening up his bank account or his like thing, and the way she was engaging him, I thought was really sweet because I feel like, I don't know why I'm drawn to the way that she is as a mom to her kids. We don't see a lot of that interaction outside of the chaos of Lenny, but this scene really kind of showed that, you know, she's really trying to make this a good life for her kids outside of the chaos, because God only knows what those kids have witnessed and heard and had to like endure. But I thought it was such a good scene, and I think it's really important that they show more of those scenes, honestly, rather than just having Lisa pop into things and then talk about Lenny, because I think it does put her in this space where it's like, oh my God, girl, like anything else going on?
Like anything aside from a timer to check on your boyfriend.
That
I mean,
was not okay, guys. Do not, even if you are, don't say it out loud and don't tell them that you said my alarm went off and said I needed to check in on you. So how are you today? Good. Okay, I'll call you back at 7 at the next alert. Like, that to me was like,
that's not what he was asking you to do, Lisa. He was more so like, when you're in the same goddamn room and you're ignoring him on your phone, and maybe there's something that you're freaking out about Lenny. I don't know, maybe check in with him and be like, I'm sorry, how are you dealing with all of this? Like,
or just how are you? How is everything with you, your business? Like, it's straight into the drums. And God bless him, because Jody is a good guy. If he's, I mean, he's been centered in a lot of this crap with her. So, but so we have that nice little scene. And then we also see that Larsa's daughter has come back from LA to visit, and they're all having some dinner together with Marcus, and the conversation comes up about money management. Larsa wants to make sure that her daughter is like financially smart and isn't depending on a man. But what I thought was really funny, and I was a little confused at first because I would have thought this too. So she's like, you blew through your $2,500 allowance. And Marcus says, yeah, so like if you only spend 2,000, that 500 doesn't roll over. Essentially, if she did have 500, they would just put 2,000 in rather than 2,500, right?
Oh, is that what he was saying?
Yeah, so that's why he said just spend it. Like, you should just spend it all, because you're not going to get a rollover. So like, I would have thought, because that's what I would have done, I would have pocketed 500 and known that, okay, I could build a little reserve. But they must have, Larsa's obviously smart. She's Lebanese, and they're a little bit different with money. So she probably is like, oh no, you only spend 2,000? Then you only need 2,000.
Yeah.
So his point was like, no, it's like he treated it like you would get a budget at work. You want to spend every dollar of that. You don't want to save it, because then they won't give you that
more
same amount. But then she's kind of like, no, like really, like don't. But it's funny because he's also a privileged
Nepo baby,
right? So he probably does have more. I'm not saying this in a weird way. I'm saying, like, from the angle where they both sit, they're both children of big basketball stars. So they both have this like sense of like, he gets her daughter probably, in the sense of like, he probably has tips and tricks on how to, like, if you just do this and you maneuver, we'll just, you know, you'll get a little bit more if you do this. And so I think that's such an interesting dynamic to see what like play out, because it's a very interesting relationship based on the history of everything. But so we have that. And then we have now Marisol is throwing this event at her house, which
I would
shout
love to
out
go to one of those.
Marisol. And shout out to Carol, because you know, Carol works with Kathy a lot too. It's nice to see Carol at the party and see her in Miami. But nonetheless, we see her put together this nice event at her home, and she's got shopping and it's jewelry, but she invites
free.
everyone except Nicole.
Why won't she just have a conversation with her about it and then make her decision? She can give her an even bigger FU if she really wants to after she has a conversation. I don't understand that.
It's so mind-boggling. It always ends up like that, though. Alexia too. They both are like, "No, I don't want to talk to her. Screw her." Like, and it's just like, why, you guys? If I truly believe if they sat down actually one-on-one, not with everyone chiming in, because that always goes so chaotic when they try to do those types of conversations with the whole group. But so Nicole's not invited, so she's been iced out of this event, which I thought was foul.
I hate it when they do that.
They shouldn't be allowed to do it, actually. If it's a production event, I'm not sure who paid for that. I'm not saying, I'm sure Marisol had to put up some money for some of it, but like, nonetheless, if it's being filmed for the show, they should have a rule where you're like, no, you can't ice one of the cast members out from an event. Like, because it's not fair to us either, because then we never get to see them
the full dynamic,
try to work anything out or confront them. So,
and Marisol said it cost $50,000 or so to throw that. Just side note.
Well, I'm sure either production paid for at least a third of it, and then the rest of it was sponsored by the companies, because I'm not seeing Marisol just out of the grace of her heart throwing this together and dropping 50 grand.
Absolutely not.
So, but it was I will say this, she throws beautiful events. So does Guerdy. I could afford Guerdy if, like, when Jeff and I get married, I would love to have Guerdy Designs do that.
Oh yeah.
So maybe I need to start saving for that. But nonetheless, I was laughing hysterically because when Julia cannot hide that she's got stuff going on in her head. She's walking in and she is like stiff and as if she's never seen any of these people before. And she's like, hello, hi. And they're like, hi. Kiki's even like, what's going on with you? Why are you acting so weird?
Nothing. I don't know anything that you don't know. What do you think I know? do you want me to tell? It has nothing to do with Adriana and Anna.
It's not because I'm here to clear Nicole's name. I have information. It's not that. I don't. She was just, you could tell that she had a lot. You could just tell that production was like, you've got to go in there and you've got to clear this up. And she's like, okay, how do I do this? Okay. And so you could tell she's running it through her head and she's like, she sees them, but she's not she's not like barely hugging them. She's like,
She was the same way before trying to talk to Lisa in Palm Beach.
Her mind was just so like, Julia's not someone that can keep a secret.
No, God bless her. She's just too honest.
She is. And I love that about her. And she's another one that I think is such a good, like, casting decision because she brings a different element to the group. She's not super like all over the place and like super Miami about everything. She's just, you know, she has her goats. She has a little farm and like
little goats.
I love that about her. And so she gets there and then we see Guerdy arrive, which shout out to Guerdy. What was it, like 3 days ago at this point? She had just had the surgery.
Yeah.
3 or 4 days. The way she had herself all strapped into her outfit, like I was like,
she may have had to be wrapped.
I was like, is this even safe? Like she should be even like not the top, but like more so like the environment. Is this which we
I
see
mean,
she learns again because she had to leave the luncheon the last time because she was like, look, I have heavier things going on. You guys are fighting over stuff. No one even knows what it is. So I'm going to go. But she got there and she seemed in good spirits, but I could tell there was something off, but she was doing her best to like be present. And obviously she's filming a show, so she's not going to come in and womp womp. But she had a good time. And then we get to them all sitting. And then obviously Adriana comes and Marisol decides to say, this is her reasoning for why she doesn't think Adriana was behind it. She said, I know Adriana. Adriana had something to do with it. She would have come in confidently and been sitting there waiting for it to unfold. But this time, she was acting really nervous and she kept just being like unsure. So I just knew that it wasn't her because usually she would bask in that moment and be like,
she was, but she was nervous because she knew the bros were going to rip her goddamn throat out.
totally. And she didn't know how it was really going to go down.
No.
So
It was
Julia looks over at Adriana and she's like, you better tell them what this is really about. And Adriana's like, don't you dare. Don't you.
The way she was like, please.
They're speaking in like, is it French?
Portuguese.
So she's like telling her in Portuguese, like, don't you do it. Don't you throw me under the bus. Don't you do it. You're my friend. You better not. And Julie's like, I don't care. I don't like the way it looks. You either say it or I'm going to say it. And so Adriana comes clean-ish. And
the way she phrased it too, how she was like, okay, so I did invite Anna with Nicole's blessing. Girl.
Again, why are you attaching Nicole to this? Like now you guys co-invited her.
It was just like that. It did not go down like that. And if the bros do not acknowledge this at the reunion, I'm going to lose my ever-loving mind. But they probably won't. They cannot pivot at all.
No, they're so locked in and so stubborn. So frustrating to watch sometimes because you just know you're like, you guys, just listen for a second. They're like a mile a minute. They're not listening. They already know what they're going to say next. You know what I mean? Because they made up their mind. They don't like Nicole, and this is just another way for them to be mean to her. So then it comes out that Adriana's really the one that like even asked to invite this woman, Anna. And they're like, I don't care. I don't care because
tired of fighting with her.
Known better anyways. So screw her. And it's like, ay, por favor. And it's just like, they don't care. They want to hate her so much. And so Adriana's just like, oh,
Adriana is, honey, she feels like she just escaped the raging bull. I cannot, like, she is just like,
like I have a bit of a conspiracy theory around that, though. I don't think that I almost feel like behind the scenes, they almost wanted to set Nicole up, the three of them. I think they went back to their old ways of like, they've known each other the longest. And so frenemies will always still co-conspire together if they need to, if it benefits everyone. And let's be clear, don't think for 1 second Adriana wouldn't love to have a full-time spot.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. That's a great point.
If we ice out Nicole, then maybe Adriana, you could slide into that full-time role. And just,
Look, no, Nicole is so good. She elevates the entire cast, and she and Guerdy do. Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Like they are aspirational. They give us the things that the other women give us, but they are accomplished on their own. I'm not saying that just because someone has wealth due to marriage that they don't have something to say that they're accomplishing. My point being is that these two women put in the work, went to school, built their careers. I mean, Nicole is an MD and Guerdy built an amazing amazing business. Listen, I know that her husband being a firefighter, that is an incredibly admirable and so very needed job. I can't imagine that being a firefighter would afford the type of lifestyle that they have for a family of 4 in Miami. So that
Totally.
should, I mean, and even most dual income families would not be able to have that lifestyle. So, Guerdy she is big mama breadwinner, and I think it's incredible. And I love how supportive Russell, honey, that is number one house husband of all time. He
That's
is
what I said.
amazing.
Last week's
Amazing.
recap, I said he is the house husband of the century. Because listen, he's a quiet man, but he is strong and he supports her in ways. He just moves quietly. And I think that it speaks volumes. He doesn't do all the showboaty
Love that
stuff. And I love him even more because of everything that we're watching, unfortunately, play out for Guerdy this season. The way he's just showing up for her, the way he's calm, the way he's keeping himself level. Because let's be clear, this is stressing him out too. This is painful for him to watch, as it would be for anybody, except the difference is he's channeling it in a different way. And you can kind of you see his strength more this season in regards to how he shows up for her. So I absolutely love that. And I love their relationship. And, but it's really interesting the way that, this whole group dynamic continues to shift and move and shift and move. So it's like, now I feel like this is going to obviously cause a little bit of a strain between Julia and Adriana, obviously, because I'm sure Adriana is going to have words for Julia after that and be like, why would you do that to me? Blah, 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 blah. Because Julia is really trying to break free of this like joint at the hip with Adriana. She needs to mingle with her actual full-time cast members.
Yes.
And because Julia's full-time, the more she films with Adriana, the more she's going to be on every episode. And so it's as if maybe Adriana is latching onto Julia more because she wants the airtime. I really think my conspiracy theory has something to it. I think that
do too.
Marisol and Alexia, first of all, whatever Anna did to them, there's no reason why they would have acted that upset and left to then turn around and come right back when they knew damn well Anna's not going to say anything. Because Anna's one of those people, it seems like, that must talk smack, but then when she gets on camera, she loses her, like, she doesn't know anymore. Yeah. So it's like, were you guys plotting against Nicole then? Because it's odd to me that you guys wouldn't then be like, yeah, we're still mad at Nicole, but Adriana, screw you, bro. Like you were being messy too. Again,
you're the one who brought her. That it's unfathomable how they will not grasp that Nicole did not walk from the same car with Anna. That was Adriana.
She didn't actually formally invite Anna.
No. I mean, and that's the thing too, is on top of that, they mic'd up Anna. They didn't mic up some of these other women there. So Anna, girl, what the hell? Why were you even there? What was the point?
She didn't say anything.
She didn't say a damn thing. I had to rewatch it because I was like, did I miss something?
It was like, you are now in the Denise Club. Like, you go over there. Don't come back on this show. I don't care. I don't care if there's no one else. Get someone else. Get someone else, because it's a waste of time. It's a waste of
Get Leah
energy.
Black in there.
So, but then Lisa Hochstein shows up. And this is where it all starts to go downhill even more. Like, which I wasn't expecting, honestly, because I thought, okay, fine. Lisa's going to come in. She's going to talk to Alexia because she did not like the way Alexia was speaking to her about her finances, the car, specifically the car, and driving her husband's car around. You should get your own car. And so Lisa decides she's going to come in. And I already could sense from when Lisa walked in that she was kind of in that mood because she was talking in a way that was like, oh,
yeah,
okay, really? Okay. Well, I just want to say some things. And whenever she starts off anything like that, she's been like in her head the entire time, like, I'm going to say this, I'm going to say this, I'm going to
Uh-huh.
tell.
Uh-huh.
So
Uh-huh.
Alexia spots it a mile away and she's like, you're being like really like defensive, bro. And she's like, no, you're going to let me talk. I'm going to talk first and you're going to listen. And so they start having their spat. And then we get a glimpse over at Guerdy, and Guerdy's again, it's like deja vu at the luncheon. It's like these women are screaming at each other about nonsense. Let's be clear. These shows typically were fighting over nonsense.
Yeah.
But she actually, which we did not know up until this point in the episode, that on the way to Marisol's, her doctor called her. My stomach had a pit in it because it's like, if you've ever been waiting for any type of like answers or results or clearance or you're in the green, you're not, that is the most anxiety ridden feeling that you just can't even do anything with. Honestly, you can't.
You have to answer that call right then and there. Every single text, every single number that comes through, you're like, is it? No. Is it?
Yeah, no,
No.
you're picking it up. Hello, hello. Like, just spit it out, you know? So we find out, unfortunately, that the surgery that Guerdy had about 4 days prior did not clear her of all of the cancer cells that could have been still lingering. So they need to do another operation. This broke my heart for her because if you've ever had anyone in your family deal with any type of cancer at all, but specifically breast cancer, it's such a thing. Like, you can get rid of it, then it can come back, and then it's just like there's still all these unknowns, right? So you try to keep a positive mindset, but then, so she in her interview says that I had gotten a call from my doctor basically saying I need to have another surgery. So she's sitting there and they're fighting, Lisa and Alexia, and everyone's trying to chime in, and she's just like, I'm gonna go. And then Guerdy gets very emotional and she's just like, this is so dumb. You guys keep fighting over the dumbest things. And here I am, and I have to have another surgery. So just so you guys know, I lied. I do have to have another surgery. It's not all clear. And obviously that immediately puts everyone at a dead stop. Rightfully so. You should. Like, if you would have continued to fight, I would have been like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, that was that cold splash of water. And the thing too is, what's also going through Guerdy's mind at the moment is her own mortality and the fact that she's here watching them bitch and fight about stupid stuff when she could be with her family right now. And that's the thing, especially, when you become a parent, there are all these at any event you go to, anything you say yes to, it needs to be worth not being with your child for you to even enjoy it, for you to feel that to not feel the guilt. And I'm not talking about just mothers, I know fathers experience guilt as well, caretakers. Anything you're saying yes to, it has to be worth it. And I'm not saying everything has to be so amazing and grand, but if you're sitting there and you're like, especially with what she's going through, I have my family at home and I'm here for this shit. Hell no. I'm going in for another surgery let's see, she had that surgery, we're going to say a Monday or Tuesday, and she was having another one on the following Tuesday. And was this an incredibly invasive, life-threatening surgery? No, but anytime you're put under, anything can happen. And so having surgery at all just alone is already going to cause stress for you. And it's like, if this is, and and not that she actually thought this was going to be her last few days on this earth, but those thoughts are in your head is my point. And I wouldn't want to spend it listening to them.
You're in the ring dancing with death at some capacity. Yes. So it is going through her mind. Also, she just got the call right before she got to Marisol. So it wasn't like she was sitting on the information for 2 days that she could process it. So I think it all just hit her in that moment, obviously. But it was what registered the most to me was when Lisa looked up, and I think she was looking up at production, like, what the fuck? Like, why didn't you guys let us know? Because now she feels like an asshole. And I would too. I'll be honest. Yeah. Because you don't know what you don't know. Okay.
That's
so to
true.
be fair to the other ladies, it wasn't like they heard that news and then continued to fight, where I'd be like, okay, they were in shock, and they
Yeah.
rightfully all got up. They walked Guerdy out,
Mhm.
except for Lisa. But because she was probably talking to production to clear herself, like, wait. I did not know that this was happening. So, like, don't paint me to look like I was. I
To
can
be
imagine those
honest,
conversations.
I was half expecting her to have what Larsa's dumbass. I'm sorry. Larsa is one of the few people that makes me insane. There are a lot of people that I could tolerate from these shows, but she's one of the few that just gets under my skin in a way that is not usual. And I was half expecting, I was nervous for a second that Lisa was going to come out with the, well, how was I supposed to know that? I
But
was
her
like, thank
look on
God.
her face kind of said,
Said
and
it.
she looked up. She was like,
Yes. I mean, did it not sort of look like it was on the tip of her tongue a little bit? I mean, she didn't say it that we saw, but
right. But the look kind of said it. It was like
yeah,
well,
like
how the fuck am I supposed to know that? Like, like
it was incredulous.
Just so crazy. And you know what else registered to me? This is the moment where I think Kiki's had about enough of the Lisa Hochstein narrative. Like she's because she keeps throwing out these things where it's like, no one, I have stuff going on in my life. No one's asking about that. I have stuff happening. No one's at like, so you can tell it's revving her up, which will make sense later for why Kiki comes for Lisa more and more. But it was, I will say, it was nice to see, maybe because I come from a Greek family and this typically has happened where it's like you're yelling, everyone's yelling at each other, and then next minute you're all crying together and you're hugging each other. You know, so they walk Guerdy out, and Guerdy is like, you need to fix this. You better fix this. Do it for me. You better. And then she's looking at everyone like, get your priorities straight. Like, there's more important things going on, i.e., hello. So that was at least nice to see that they all kind of checked themselves a little bit and was like, okay, let's cut the crap. Because honestly, like they didn't know. So I wasn't like thrown off. But the minute they did find out, they got up and they made sure to like tend to her.
Yeah, they had appropriate reaction, that's for sure.
For sure. One thing I didn't jump into, because to me it's like whatever, it was kind of a filler scene, but Alexia does go and look at an apartment, which I don't know about you, but I was like, that place was $45,000 a month.
Get out of here. What? Like
$45,000 a month for what seemed to be, what was it, a three-bedroom?
Three-bedroom.
Are you insane? I'm sorry, Miami. I don't care what amenities you have at that building. $45,000 a month. What does that even come to a year? That's like over $5 million.
That's why I don't understand. This is where it is confusing.
No, sorry guys. My math is wrong. It's not over 5 million. It's like more like a $500,000.
Oh, math and I are not best friends. So you could have told me it was 20 million. I'd been like, oh my God, yeah. God.
45,000. And she said it's more than the place they have now, and their place is huge.
Why would you not try and buy something at that point? Your down payment would be double that, at least, correct? At least, but that's only 2 months of your rent. Maybe 3. Okay, we'll call it 4 months of the rent you would be paying for your down payment. And then your mortgage is still not going to be that same amount. Now, the interest and taxes are going to add up, but still, like that, I just think it's wild if you have that type of money to do that with an apartment. Does that?
Well, remember when Lisa went to go look at that one place and it was like, what was it, $5 million for that condo, whatever? But that wasn't all, because then he was like, the HOA fee is like $40,000 a month or something crazy like that. I don't know the number off the top of my head, but I remember being like, oh my God. Luckily we don't have an HOA in our neighborhood, but like that was one of the big considerations when we were looking to buy, was how much is that HOA fee, if there is one? Because sometimes they're astronomical and you're like adding another $1,200 to your monthly mortgage payment just for that.
Oh, the neighborhood I'm sitting in right now, they have homes for sale and homes for rent. The homes for sale are not large homes, mind you. The HOA here is like $900 a month. But
Yeah, see, they're
they do all
all
the snow
around,
removal and
well,
stuff,
for
but
like
still.
normal people houses. Clearly
Right.
this, I don't know where in Miami they are and what this building is, but I'm sorry, $45,000 a month or whatever. And the bedrooms were nothing about this
They were
place was
small.
that spectacular either.
No,
The
they look like
layout seemed
regular
a,
apartment bathrooms. Like
yeah.
apartment, those I've had apartment bathrooms that were bigger than those bathrooms. So
I was
that
like,
was
what?
maybe they need to go a little farther out of Miami, like, but no, it's the status, whatever.
Yeah, but the other weird part to this is why didn't Todd? He's got, like, she even said in her interview, she's like, he's the one with the real estate broker
Yes.
license. Like, why can't he set things up? You don't have connections, Todd?
Can't you get on the MLS? I think that's so weird.
And who was
so
this
weird.
realtor who looked like she smoked a pack of Marlboro Lights and then ran upstairs to show the apartment off because she didn't care that her son needed all these safety things because she was like, oh, he can't have a tub in his room.
Yeah.
And the room's too small.
It only
and
fit
the
a twin
closet
bed.
is a his and hers, but I need this whole thing. So where's Todd gonna put his clothes? Like that, I get it from that angle. I mean, poor Alexia, right? But like,
right.
if you're used to living in a space that is that big, and then you look at something like that, yeah, you're naturally gonna be like, no, this is too small.
It is tough cookies to downsize. I mean, tough shit, man.
Totally.
It wasn't a safe place for Frankie. And I mean, I don't know. I can understand there are some people that are like, no, I don't want to even rent a home, like a house, a single family house. We'll call anything that is a detached home a single family house for our purposes here. But some people just prefer an apartment building with the amenities, with someone picking up your mail, with someone tending to the lawns, doing all of that. I mean, that's just, I guess, what they want. But I think to me, but maybe it is safer for Frankie to be living somewhere like that where there's a concierge that could come up and check on him and where he can't just wander out quite as easily. I don't know how he's doing at this point or the parameters with which, they have to keep an eye on him and keep things, set for him. But maybe it is safer for them to be somewhere like that now that I'm saying all of that.
Well, I mean, to be honest, I understand. Like, first of all, I wouldn't want my child's bedroom to have access to a balcony ever. So like, no.
No, not at
that's understandable. I did even understand the tub thing because I could see how that could be an issue. Plus, the bathroom was small as hell. So if he made one wrong move, he'd be banging his head on 5 million things.
Yes.
So I understood. I guess my question is, where is Todd?
Ain't that the question always, though?
Yeah, he either doesn't want to be on the show all too much because of
what happened,
what Adriana's trying to insinuate through Anna, or he's doing this as a way to give her like something good to like film, like, because obviously like that's a good scene for her to be like, oh, this is more than our place and it's so small. Right. Oh, that's gonna be tough. Because even the lady was like, this is the only thing that I could show you today. And it's like, really? What parameters were thrown out that this is the only unit? I'm not saying housing is easy right now. Bless you.
I tried to get muted right in time.
Found that. Didn't you know what the place? Didn't you see pictures beforehand? Didn't you see the price before? It's like she walked in blind and was like, oh, okay. How much is it?
Yeah.
It's like you didn't look at the fucking listing before.
Listen, I just hate the idea of one person in a couple or in a family being the one to just go scout out something. Y'all need to go together. I'm sorry, but there are things that my partner is not going to think of that I'm going to think of. And same with, vice versa. You gotta, if you're going to have more than one person living in there, you all got to go. And it's just, I think Todd is scared of the cameras after he then did that weird long apology on social media. And I think he just is not equipped for this. And that's okay. That doesn't make him a bad person.
Okay. No.
I just think it's too much for him. And I mean, Alexia is a lot as it is. So I mean, I'm not trying to be mean, but I'm just saying,
No,
like,
it's in a
I
good,
would,
I mean, listen, I understand that personality because it's very similar to like she's like a Greek mom, you know, in so many, I mean,
yeah,
it's very similar. So I, I don't read too much into her because I know she's reactive naturally and she's
yeah,
very animated and passionate. And, you know, Todd's very chill, you know, like, he's, but she needs that. She can't be with
yeah,
another like mob type
fiery,
guy that's like running the streets, you know. It's too
too
much.
much.
So this is a good balance for her. I don't think that the financial issues that Adriana's trying to throw out there are even really all that true because
And I don't even care that much
who
unless it's,
cares? Like they're playing this thing out on the show like she's being thrown out of her place. I mean, she kind of is, but only because it's been sold. So, or at least that's what they're telling us. So unless something
sure.
else comes out later in the season, we'll find out. But I don't know. Overall, I would rate this episode out of 10. I would give it a solid 8.5.
Hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think I do want to see some new variety though. I don't want to keep
Yeah.
talking about Anna, and I don't want to, I know we're gonna have to keep talking about it because Nicole's not part of the conversation, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I hope we move away from this dynamic a little, at least for now.
And I
Because
want to
I'm
see
ready for some
Nicole at,
other, I'm ready to see the Kiki of it all. I want to see what else is
yes,
going
I
on with
love
Larsa
Kiki.
and everybody else. Because I feel like we're just focusing on like three people.
Yeah. And I think Nicole, if she had been there with Guerdy, for that luncheon, I think that would have provided a lot of stability for Guerdy. But I also wonder if she had been there, if Guerdy would have ended up just completely immediately going to Nicole and telling her, because I think they are true friends. Guerdy was wanting this to be made right also for Nicole, not just for
Mm-hmm.
her,
Mm-hmm.
because Nicole has shown up for her. And, you know, when you're going through anything medical and you have anyone in your life who is a doctor or a nurse, think about who you call immediately. You
Of
know,
course.
my father's a doctor, and people will be calling randomly. Like, I'm telling you, anything and everything. Sometimes it could be about a pain in their foot, and he's a neuroradiologist, and he's like, well, there are nerves in there, but you know, my point being is she would have been a good source of comfort for Guerdy in that moment. So I want to see that group dynamic, even though Larsa literally makes me want to pull my hair out, and I love my hair, so I wouldn't do that just
Yeah, don't pull your
frivolously.
hair out.
But it's Larsa makes me nuts, and I just it's interesting. I know we're ending here. I just want to put this thought out. What if, what if Larsa dropped the fake Kim Kardashian act and started acting like herself, which I don't even think she knows who that is anymore. She's morphed into Kim so much she doesn't even know who she is anymore. What if Larsa stopped doing this whole thing? What would we as fans be able to say at that point? Because I think it makes it more annoying because it doesn't feel like it's her, and like it still feels like she's trying to be a Kardashian. And it
So
just,
I agree with you, and I've had this thought too, because when she first was on the show, this was not how she was at all. But
yeah,
over time and spending that long in Calabasas with the Kardashians, it's like stuck with her. And
morphed her.
I will say it's slowly breaking down, like Dorit's accent. It's coming back down a little bit. Because even this season, I feel like she's still very much Kardashian esque, but there's these other little elements where she forgets that she's Kardashian mode, and then she'll be Larsa for a second, and then she like turns the switch, like someone's like, nope, and then turns it back on. She's like, yeah, no, that's not what I was
Just
saying.
like,
And
because
I was
like,
just, I
I
thought
like
Guerdy
that.
was telling me not to
Like,
go
how was
to
I
the
like
press
supposed to?
because we were both fighting for 30 minutes
But
about
like,
going to the press. So when she said, don't
but
tell
like, I just
anyone,
do
keep it in
squats
confidence, it was, oh, I thought, don't go to the media.
because squats, like,
Like, no, you know what she meant. First of all, if she didn't want you to go to the media, she would have specified media. That's two different things. She knew that because she prefaced by saying, I want to tell the women. Why would you think that that had anything to do with the media?
Well, do you remember what Guerdy said to you and I at BravoCon?
Yep. She said,
You
we're going
mind
to
if
have to choose sides.
Guerdy looked at us and she said, well, you are going to have to choose sides this season. And I looked at Guerdy and I said, hey, I'm Team Guerdy all day.
Listen,
Okay.
babes, my book, if you're fighting cancer on a Housewives show and filming, you already are the winner. I don't care what anyone else did in that situation, because I'm like, you got to give her the most grace.
Absolutely.
Way.
And I just like her. So
I do too. And I think, outside of the show, I mean, she's, like we said earlier, she's already an established businesswoman coming into the show. It wasn't like Nicole and Guerdy just came on. They're just random women in Miami that were looking to, be elevated and get relevant. So obviously they're more public figures now, but that comes along with being on the show, right? So, the season's not missing a beat. I love the energy that the women have. I'm just ready for some
change it up some.
Change it up. Let's bring some other things up to the surface and let's discuss that. But yeah, that's the episode in a nutshell, guys. Thank you to Caitlin for taking time out of her very busy day
Anything's for you.
Drop in for a Friday podcast. We'd love to have you. And I think we're going to have Caitlin on every Friday if she's able to recap Miami with you guys. And if you haven't checked out the Salt Lake City Reunion Part 1 podcast that Caitlin put out yesterday, please do go check it out. It is on all platforms. You can watch it on YouTube. Caitlin, where can everyone find you?
Yes. So on Instagram, I'm Besties by Caitlin. Same thing on TikTok, Besties by Caitlin, Caitlin. And on YouTube, you can subscribe to Besties by Bravo podcast, it's Besties by Bravo, but it's a podcast. Giorgio is on every Thursday, and we just have a good old time doing our live. And the podcast is Besties by Bravo. Also, if any of your listeners are in the Denver area, I'm so nervous. I'm so nervous no one's going to show up. That's one of my worst nightmares, basically. But Tuesday, January 16th and Tuesday, January 23rd, we are going to be I'm hosting, essentially, I'm terrified to even say that much, a watch party at Marigold Denver Bar for part 2 and 3 of the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City reunion. And then on January 30th, I'm going to help host a Vanderpump Rules premiere party at Mile High Spirits in Denver. So I don't know how many Bravo besties are in Denver, but I'm doing everything I can to tell people to please come.
I think you're going to have people show up for that because this has been a whirlwind, Salt Lake City. So please, if you're in the Denver area, please, please, please go support and go to the watch party. Listen, if I was driving distance,
oh my God,
I would be crashing at your pad
up
and just go. But I don't even know how long it takes to drive to Denver from here. Probably 2 days.
At least. Not even counting the freaking Arctic weather we're all dealing with.
Listen, I'm telling you, I'm also, this has really inspired me too, because I told you yesterday, I want to do a watch party. So I'm trying to get myself set up for that type of situation. But yes, please go follow Caitlin on all platforms, subscribe to the podcast, leave a review. A nice little 5-star review does help the podcast for both of us. So please, it's free. We don't charge you.
No.
We put out a podcast multiple times a week for free. No paywalls. There's no paywalls here, guys.
Nope.
We're not like some other creators. We give you all the tea for free. Okay. So please, if you have a minute, go and leave a nice review for both of our podcasts.
Yes.
And until next week, I will talk to you guys next time. And I'll see you next week, Caitlin.
Yes, you will.
Bye, guys.
Bye.